Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and while you're at it, click the bell to be notified of future videos. This block is called Keypunch, and it finishes at 12 inches. It's another block I saw on Pinterest, and when I followed the link, the people were just talking about the quilt blocks. They didn't give the name or the pattern or anything, so I'm calling it Keypunch because to me it looks like one of those old-fashioned key punch cards. Here is a quilt that's 35 blocks, set 5 across and 7 down, and it finishes at 60 by 84 inches. Here are the fabric requirements, and I'm calling for 12 different fabrics and ½ yard each, and for the background we have 1½ yards. Now up at the top, this part is the patches. If you are making one block, this is what you need. And down here at the bottom are instructions for making the quilt. For each of the 12 fabrics, we'll make 3 blocks. So I'm going to be making 3 blocks from the one of the fabrics. So here are the patches. We have patch A is a 4-inch finished square. We cut 4½ inch squares, and we need 5 of the accent fabric. Here are the AccuQuilt dies that will cut this. Patch B is a 2-inch finished square. We cut 2½ inch squares. We need 8 patches for the background and 8 patches for the accent fabric. And the AccuQuilt dies that will cut this are here. If you didn't want to cut patches for this B, the B patch is actually this 4-patch unit right here. So you can easily strip piece this unit. And if you wanted to strip piece them instead of cutting the patches, you can cut for each fabric, cut one strip that's 2½ inches times 21 inches. So basically that's about half of a width of fabric. And you'll sew the strips together, press them, and then subcut them into 2½ inch segments. And to make the block, you just make the 4-patch units and then you just put them together. The block itself is a 9-patch block, so there are 5 squares and 4 4-patch units. Okay, so down here at the bottom, the 60 by 85 sample quilt. The accent fabrics are for patch A. You need ½ yard of each of 12 fabrics. So for each fabric you're going to cut 2 strips and subcut them into 4½ inch squares. For patch B, we're still with the accent fabrics. So for patch B, we'll cut 2 strips at 2½ inches times the width of fabric. We're going to take one of those strips and cut it in half, and I'll show you how that works. For the background fabric, we need 1½ yards, so we'll cut 18 strips at 2½ inches times the width of fabric. I had an abundance of solid fabric, so I decided to use solids in this quilt and make a full quilt, although I won't have it finished by the time this video is done. We're going to make 3 blocks out of this one fabric. Here is patch A, and it's the 4½ inch squares, and we have 15 of them. And here is what I'm talking about with the strips. So for the background and patch B, we cut strips. The background fabric, we have a total of 18 strips. So we're going to take 12 of those strips and sew it to one of each of the fabrics, the strips that we cut with the fabric. So this is here in patch B, where we cut 2 strips times the width of fabric, and we cut 1 in half. Here is the 1 strip of the accent fabric and 1 strip of the background fabric. I've sewn them together and pressed the seams open, and we'll subcut this in a minute. Then we have the other strip of the fabric. We cut it in half, so we're going to use it to sew half of one of the background strips. So here's the background strip, and then we have 2 half strips of 2 different fabrics on here. So I'll show you how we're going to cut 16 segments from here and 8 segments from here. This is the full width of fabric strip set, and I'm going to cut 16 2½ inch segments from this. I'm using the Stripology ruler to cut my segments at 2.5 inches. And that is 16 from this. I can probably get another one out of here. So I will just do that. 2.5 inches. Now we take our other strip that we have the 2 half strips sewn together, and we're going to cut 8 from each color. Cut this in half. Okay, and then we have just enough. And we have 1 extra from the other one. Now we're going to take all these and make 4-patch units out of them. We'll need 12 4-patch units. Sew these together like this and press the seams open. So make 12 of these. The 12 4-patches are done and our squares are cut. So now we just put the blocks together. And it's a 9-patch, so they alternate. The only thing you have to be careful of is the placement of the light and dark patches of the 4-patch. So let's do this. And just look at the diagram and put the 4 patches facing the way they should be. Now the fabrics I'm using are Bella Solids, and this tone-on-tone stripe is a basics from Riley Blake. And I have to decide if I want to have the stripes all facing the same way, if that's even possible, which it is not. So anyway, there's the decision for me. We'll sew the top units together, the middle and bottom, press the seams, and then sew the rows together and your block is finished. In this case, I'll be making 3 blocks of this fabric. Here is the block, it's all finished. And because we get 3 blocks from each of the fabrics, I've made 3 blocks. And since we got enough 4-patch units from the half strip, I made the 1 block from that. And so I'll make 2 blocks from this fabric later on. If you have your 12 fabrics and you finished 36 blocks, you'll only need 35 blocks, so you'll have 1 extra. Here's what the blocks will look like if they're side by side. I really love getting the comments from you guys, and I try to answer them as quickly as I can and answer all your questions. I have a Facebook private group called the Quilt Makers Workshop, and if you want to join that, I'm not a crazy fan of Facebook, but it does have its advantages, and one of them is we can share pictures and discussions, more two-way discussions than just the comment section. And I think we could get more participation and more questions answered, and I think it would be a lot of fun. Now, it's a private group. There's a link below the video in the description, and I'll put it up here right now. You'll have to answer a few questions, but we'll let you in. And if it takes maybe a day to let you in, then that's just me being me. So I would love to have you join that, and I'll be participating a lot more in it. So here's the block, the back. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and while you're at it, click the bell to be notified of future videos.